In June, the South Carolina Air National Guard was doing a routine night flying training mission in jets like these, in fact, when they crashed into each other. The Air Force calls it a, quote, mishap. And for the last several months, they've been investigating to make sure this mishap doesn't happen again.
Bullseye 18234 shutdown.
This flight animation shows the exact moment two F-16s collided over Jefferson County. The recreation used from actual flight data shows the jet spinning and turning for almost a minute before falling still. In audio from the cockpit, you can hear the pilots talking about a bullseye.
Hey, Star Signal Group Bullseye 251.
Then
32, 10,000.
it all goes silent. The little icons still intact on the screen, a wishful representation of what the jets looked like once they hit the ground. These pictures show the real thing. This is a picture of the engine, at least somewhat recognizable among the dense forest around it. The rest of the plane splintered into pieces, making this debris field on the ground. But perhaps the hardest thing to see, this mess of twisted metal, what used to be the cockpit. According to the report, both pilots ejected successfully with only very minor injuries. This aerial view showing where the aircraft smashed through the trees without the pilot inside. The impact sending parts flying across the rural land. A wing flap here, a parachute over there, an ejection seat to the south, and a flare foil off to the side. People living in the area would find bits and pieces on their land for weeks. At least 75 military personnel helped search for the debris. The report says they spent 38 man-days searching for the first pilot's ejection seat. It still hasn't been found. And while both the pilots survived, the F-16s are a total loss, bringing the cost of this mishap to just over $60 million. Quite a bill, right, guys?
$60 million?
That's a shocker.
$60 million and some change. So this investigation was extensive, though, especially in these questions to the pilots. I was reading through these documents. They asked what they ate for breakfast and lunch, what they did earlier in that day, and the 11 days prior, and if they had any stress at home. The only thing that didn't seem to be in this report that it was lacking was an answer for why this crash happened.
Exactly, but that animation helps tell the story. What about the pilots? They checked out okay?
They did. It said they each had 8 hours of sleep. They both ate at all of the meals. They had no stressors at home, and physically they checked out fine too. So these were very skilled pilots, and they were actually doing search patterns with limited visibility that night, but they did have night goggles on.
Gosh, you mentioned that they were still looking for that ejection seat, so they're still looking for debris.
Yes, there is still debris out there. Besides that ejection seat, there's one aircraft canopy they still can't find. So if people in Louisville are on their land and they see something that looks like debris, it could be it. Don't touch it. Just go ahead and call law enforcement.
All this in the dense, thick forest of Jefferson County.
Which made that search so difficult.
Thank you, Chris.